So we are on phase 2 of cleaning up our homestead. We inherited quite a mess when we moved in last spring because 2 winters ago there was an immense amount of snow and ice storms that just broke a lot of trees. So throughout our 7-mile long trail system, we couldn't go down any of them because all the trees were broken and it was just impassable. So it was kind of a mess around here for a while. So every morning we got out, we were clearing trails, and in the process we just stacked the downed trees in a pile alongside the trail, thinking we're gonna just have to focus on opening the trails and we'll deal with those piles later. Well, now is later. All the trails are open. While we've been doing some burning in our burn piles, that's not my preferred method. And so a lot of you have been telling me, Katie, you need to get a wood chipper. You need to get a wood chipper. And I got to thinking, that's a really good idea. So we started to do a lot of research and we found the perfect fit for our homestead. We really need a big model that's gonna handle thousands of trees and do it quickly, where we can just keep throwing them in. And I'm absolutely falling in love with wood chips out here. I'm seeing how valuable it is. We're using wood chips on our trails to help control the mud. I'm using them around the chicken coop to help with the mud. And I've been adding them to my garden, if you've been following along with my garden journey this year, to help control the weeds. So we have a big need for wood chips and a big need for cleanup. So wood chipper is absolutely gonna save the day here. I'll show you what we have. So this is the Woodmaxx MX-9900ss, and it is absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? And thankfully it already comes pre-assembled. We just have to do a couple quick things to get it ready to go. So Ryan and I are gonna work together to get it all set up, and then I'm gonna flip it over to him so you can go in detail what's going on in here, how amazing it is, and how it's gonna be a great fit for us on our homestead and maybe your homestead as well.
It's pretty cool. All right.
You excited?
I am excited. As Katie said, this is the MX-9900ss from Woodmaxx, and the 9900 part stands for the 9x9 infeed. So this is in the, what you'd say, 8-inch class of wood chippers. Can handle, they say 9-inch pieces, but really most of these handle 8-inch logs. And then the SS is for skid steer. We wanted to be able to run this off of our skid steer. So it requires 18 to 35 gallons per minute. We'll be running standard flow, and we have a 75 horsepower machine. What we really liked about this one, several things. So it is an automatic infeed. That's very important to us. We want to be able to put material in, walk off, and go do something else. A lot of the machines out there are gravity feed, and you basically have to stand there and force the material in, and we did not want to do that. It's slow. This is going to be much faster because we're going to be able to work while it's processing. So Woodmaxx has the same basic features as most of these skid steer hydraulic wood chippers, I guess you'd say. What I really like about Woodmaxx is they seem to have taken every little part and thought about it a little bit more and done it just a little bit better. So from actual operation to serviceability, it just seems like every component of this machine is just, I'd say, a step above everybody else. And then on top of that, it's very heavily built. So if you look at the weight of the machine compared to a lot of the competition, it is, I think, the heaviest or one of the heaviest on the market. And that just comes from the size of material they're using. And it's made in the USA. They're using really high quality components. They're using A8 tool steel blades. They're using hardened steel rollers. It's heavy 1/4-inch frame. It's all really heavy stuff. We can get into the features of this thing, and we'll start on the front end where the feed comes in. This is kind of their real, well, it is their patent-pending hydraulic infeed setup. It's a hydrostatic motor, so instead of having a hydraulic motor running constant speed and then proportioning the amount of flow to the infeed, it's actually running at the speed you need and giving full torque the whole time. So this is the infeed bar. So it has forward feed, it goes like this, and reverse feed goes like this. And the idea being, if you're feeding in at full speed and something gets caught, worst case happens, you start getting pulled in the machine, you push against the bar to stop yourself, and the machine stops and reverses and kicks the branch back out. So it's a great safety feature. It's probably the biggest thing you want on a machine like this. You don't get pulled in. And along with that, they do have nice freezer curtain here to keep chips and everything from flying back out. So the hydrostatic drive is what runs the roller, but the roller itself is pretty important. So they're running a big 8-inch diameter drum. So the large size of the drum gives you a good nip angle to help grab the branch. It has large spacing in between. So kind of like a mud tire on a truck, it's going to clean out and not hold on to material. So you're not going to, I guess, gunk it up over time. And then it has really sharp blades for grabbing onto the materials that comes in. That tied with these gas shocks. So there's big gas shocks here that provide 175 pounds of force down. Really help to bite onto your logs and your branches and pull them in without slipping, because I think probably the most dangerous thing on one of these would be the branch isn't feeding in properly and you try to assist it yourself and you're reaching in and it's just a bad situation. So they put a lot of thought into how this thing's going to function properly without your assistance to draw the material in to decrease the risk of an incident, I guess would be the word for it. So the way this machine functions when it attaches to your skid steer is the hydraulic system on your skid steer runs a hydraulic motor on the bottom side of this machine. That runs a shaft that turns the belt drive that runs the flywheel. And then the hydraulic system for the infeed is separate. It's its own closed loop system. It runs on only like 2 quarts of oil. And so you're not exchanging fluid with your machine with the hydraulic, I guess, infeed system. With that said, I kind of want to just start taking panels off this and we'll start looking at how it's put together. And we'll talk about, I guess, the serviceability, how it functions, kind of the drive system that they've come up with, and we'll go from there. So most of the access panels are these nice little thumb screws, which is convenient. And this is actually our first time doing this. Figure this out with you. So here you can see the hydrostatic motor is running off a belt off the flywheel shaft. It has its own reservoir. It's pre-filled. I know on their website and in the instruction manuals it actually says that you have to fill this, but it looks like they pre-filled it and tested it for us, which is really nice. Definitely want to check it though, but it's only 2 quarts and it's just standard 10 weight 40 oil. So it's nothing special. You'll be able to just go to any auto parts store and get it. All the motors on this machine, this hydrostatic motor and the main drive motor, are USA made white brand motors. They're something you should be able to source locally. On the other side here we have the belt drive for the flywheel. So the flywheel is belt driven, partially so that they didn't have to get a 1200 RPM hydraulic motor on this thing. But the other thing would be you do actually want a belt drive on something like this to take the impact loading if you get into trouble. If you jam the thing up, you don't want that going all the way in the hydraulic system of the implement driving it. And the belt drive system then protects your machine. And Woodmaxx has picked out some really nice belts for it. It's a 5V belt. It's a cog belt, but it's a standard 5V size. This is a belt made especially for them. It's a BX57, but you can go use a standard non-cog belt from an auto parts store if you need to run this machine, if you need parts. So this is a 5 belt setup, so this is really made to handle a lot of load. So the tensioner assembly on this is this giant bracket. You have these jacking bolts here, and then you're clamping the tensioner assembly here and here. Like any belt, looks like you need to run it for a bit, get it to stretch, and then come back and retension it. They got a lot of tension on them already though, so they may end up stretching into the right amount of tension. But this assembly actually has the motor and everything attached to it, so it's going to stay in parallel as you tension it. You don't have to worry about adjusting anything on the back end for the motor. And this is good heavy duty stuff. These are really nice pillow block bearings. They have a grease zerk on them, so it's serviceable. This flange bearing is pretty heavy duty too. This is a big shaft, looks like a couple inches. And there's a big flange bearing with a grease zerk on it, so you can service all that. And again, this is all standard stuff that you could probably order. Obviously you can order it from Woodmaxx, but if you needed to in a pinch, you could probably source it elsewhere too. This thing has a really nice clamshell setup, so you have one bolt here and the whole top end comes apart. So let's go ahead and do that and take a look in there. All right, so we got the clamshell bolt out there. We loosened up the hinge bolts on the other side, so this thing should just lift off. Oh yeah, it's got a rest there. Really big thing about this chipper, it is a 26.5 inch diameter, 1 inch thick wheel, and then it weighs 220 pounds. Has 4 cutting blades on it. You can see them here. And it spins at 1200 RPM. And then the backside here is a radial blade fan. So you send your chips through here. They come this area. this throws them out the exhaust, and it's producing airflow. It's drawing air in through these holes. It's also drawing air in through the infeed, and then the paddle wheel style action physically throws them out, and the wind it's generating is going to throw them out too. I guess it's a material handling fan. That'd be the way to call it. This is a really nice feature of the Woodmaxx. You can take the infeed off separately. It's nice and it's hinged at these two bolts here. There's another bolt that retains it, kind of like the clamshell lid. The whole front end swings away, and then you can get to the bed knife without having to crawl in the infeed, because the bed knife is something you have to adjust. It's a serviceable item. They did Loctite all these for us, which is nice, right? So they're not going to vibrate themselves loose. Oh, all right, we got a quick release here, I believe. Yeah, right there. Okay. So this whole thing, perfect.
Well, that's really nice.
Super nice. So here's your bed knife. There's a spec for the clearance between your cutting blades, and that is tight. That looks like it's maybe 20,000. So this is an adjustment point. We'll loosen this up, slide them back and forth to get the clearance right. This looks like it's the same A8 hardened steel or tool steel as this, which is nice. This is a dual-sided blade, so you can flip them over and use the other side. You can replace these, obviously. But the other thing I'm seeing too, look at this cutting action. So it's doing like scissors, right? Like it's not flat against there, it's actually doing a shearing action. And the next blade comes through and it cuts the inside. So this is very well thought out. The other thing I just noticed here too, it's been balanced. So this has obviously been balanced to a fairly high level. There's still the metal shavings from when they drilled it out. This is all nice. Parker hydraulic lines, abrasion protection on here, which is great. For, I guess it is commercial grade, but it's definitely really nice for homeowner grade. Everything's very heavy duty on it. I'm very happy with it. This is a powder coat finish, which is great. Oh, and you can see the infeed roller system here really well. It's got a nice big roller there, and it's sharpened. And this has been heat treated. So they build this whole thing and then they heat treat it so that it stays really hard and sharp. So you shouldn't have to do anything with it.
Should we put it back together?
Let's do. Another nice feature of the Woodmaxx is it comes with this hour meter / tachometer. You can see it's got a cable here that runs and it's reading off of the flywheel shaft. Looks like it's actually picking up a little magnet on there. And what this does is, instead of having to exactly match the hydraulic motor on the Woodmaxx to your machine, they can sell you one of 3 sizes. And then what you do is you fire up your machine, you engage the PTO with it on low, and then you start bringing your RPM up until this reads 1200 RPM. This is the side that you'll quick attach to. You'll be able to sit in the cab and just spin this up, and then that way you know you have it at the exact right speed that they're looking for on the flywheel. So it's a really nice feature. You know exactly how fast it's going, and then if you're having performance issues, you're not guessing whether it's RPM related. You can say, well, we had the machine at the right speed, maybe my blades are dull, maybe I need to sharpen them. It makes diagnosing and servicing things a lot easier. I think the final step here is going to be to unbolt it from the pallet so that we can hook it up to the skid steer, but I think this is about it for unboxing. No way.
What?
They actually did threaded inserts into the pallet. How cool is that? Yeah, I expected these to be lag screws and they're not.
So we can't even wait to get this thing up and running out on the trails to start some cleanup and chipping and all the good things. So if you want to see this thing in action, just wait. Don't worry, I'm going to make a fun video of us out there doing all the chipping things. And if you want to join our Woodmaxx family and get one for your own uses on your homestead, highly recommend it. This machine is awesome. Woodmaxx has really thought about every little part and it shows. It's just beautiful. I do have an affiliate link that I'll put in the description box. I always appreciate it if you're willing to shop through that link at no extra cost for you, but this thing is awesome. You're gonna want one. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. We'd love to chat with you guys. And huge thank you to Woodmaxx for working with us so we could even get this chipper. We are so thankful to have this. It's gonna be a game changer for us out here on our homestead. We have a lot to maintain and there's a lot of tree damage. We are just ecstatic and can't wait to get this thing out on the trail. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next video.